Hello, everybody. I'm Ben from Indie Talks. This is episode 53 of the pre-podcast podcasting portion of the podcast. I'm here with Ray and Cassidy and Chris from Calliope Games. I got it right. Excellent. And we're going to start the actual podcast in just a minute. All right, I think we're just about ready to go. Yeah.
Hey Ben, I don't know. Yeah. You're breaking up on my side. I don't know if that's going across everybody else or.
Anybody else having issues hearing me?
You sound a little grainy, but I can still hear you.
Okay. What if I sit a little bit closer like this? Is that a little better?
It's like cracking.
Okay. It sounds good on here, and it sounds good with you guys coming across.
Okay.
It may just be that we have 4 folks on here doing it, but we'll have to see.
As long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I think I'm good. So.
All right.
All right. So why don't you guys give me 5 seconds of silence or so, and then we'll just dive right into it. Welcome back, listeners, to Indie Talks. We're on episode number 53 with some fine folks from Calliope Games. I'm here with Ray Wares, Cassidy Warner, and Chris Letter. Did I get that last one right?
Well, leader, but
leader. I knew I was going to mess one up. Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
I want to welcome you to the podcast. Thank you all for coming on. As I mentioned to you guys before we all started, this is the largest live podcast that I've ever done for Indie Talks with 4 people on it. So somewhere we're breaking some kind of record, I'm sure. Maybe just my personal record.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. It's an honor to be and a privilege to break this record with the 3 of you. So normally when we start the podcast, I just like to ask my guests how they found themselves at the gaming table to begin with. And I figured for this question, we'll start with you, Ray. What got you into tabletop gaming as a hobby?
Well, I actually never got into tabletop gaming as a hobby until after I had joined the industry.
Really?
I was drafted by my brother-in-law, Jordan Weissman. Right. So when we originally launched WizKids, he needed a salesman, and so I jumped to the forefront and said, I can do that, and that's how I got drafted in here.
Excellent. Cassidy, what brings you to the table?
My parents are huge nerds, so they had me rolling d20s when I was 5, and from there it was just a hopeless, vicious spiral.
Well, as a huge nerd parent, that actually gives me a lot of hope, because at least one of my 2 kids is already addicted to gaming, and I think the other one is following suit as well. And Chris, what got you into the hobby?
I've been exposed to gaming since I was as young as I can remember. My grandmother's a Yahtzee maniac, and we would sit around and play Risk. We'd have multiple games that after the Thanksgiving dinner. Most of my childhood was playing Scotland Yard and Thunder Road and a bunch of other classics that have gone out of print or have been bought up by other people. But
sure.
That's where it all started, just board games with the family from at a young age.
Excellent. So I want to go back to you, Ray, and I want to talk a little bit about Calliope Games. Can you tell me how Calliope came about?
Oh, sure. So Jordan and Dawn are still partners of mine, and the company Calliope is a brand from a company. Actually, the company name is Compound Fun. Compound Fun has 2 brands. One is Wells Expeditions, and in the early days when we launched Compound Fun, Wells was Gollum. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What's that game we did?
Gollum Arcana?
No, Gollum Arcana is the one he's doing right now. What's that? It's
Arcane Legion?
Arcane Legion, yes. I'm like right on the spot.
I put you on the spot.
Yeah. But it was a great game, and we just misjudged the marketplace, if you will. But when we developed Compound Fun, we originally put Wells Expeditions to in place to build products specifically for the core hobby, core hobby market. And we did Calliope games to help grow that core hobby market. So we knew we were going to be reaching outside of the marketplace, and with the specific intent of introducing people who typically don't play games to playing games that have some mechanics that you might find in a core hobby game, and making the game so that they were easily accessible, so that somebody that would say, "Oh, I don't play games," right, would be interested in trying our games. And Sorrow was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% there. Tsuro is one of my go-to games for introducing people who are in that exact same phrase. You know, I don't play games. I don't know what you're talking about. These. Well, let's sit down and look at this thing. It's really zen and it's easy. And even if you lose, you don't really feel like you're losing. You're just moving your piece around. And 20 minutes later, they're like, "Oh, can we do that again?" So great job on that.
Exactly. And so the entire Calliope line is set up with that philosophy in mind. So for gamers, you know, we're really their filler and gateway game company, right? So, you know, we know that our games aren't going to be what they get around the table to do for an entire evening, right? Even if you tried, well, maybe if you played every game 3 times in one evening, you could do it, right? It would be a challenge, but it's a lot of fun.
There's another demographic too that your games fit into really well, which is I run a off again on again board game lunch thing at my work, and I love bringing in Zero and playing Zero. A couple of folks there actually have it now because we've introduced them to it, and they make really good lunchtime games because you can get in 2 or 3 games over the course of an hour, and you know just enjoy the heck out of it. So I have a tangential question to ask you as well. I'm a geek. I love mythology. I love all the gaming stuff. I consistently mispronounce everything. How many folks mispronounce Calliope?
You mean Calliope?
Yes, Calliope. Okay.
Calliope.
I think the equal number to say Tsuro.
Yes, Tsuro by Calliope. So, no, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, Calliope, you know, is, you know, I can't tell you how many. There's a good number of people that do mispronounce it, right? But, we do our best to correct them as quickly as we can and introduce them to not only the Greek goddess, but that large musical instrument that is used in circuses all the time, right?
Which I've also probably been mispronouncing my entire life too. I wouldn't be surprised. So,
mad.
Yeah, right. So, Chris, how did you become involved with Calliope games? Where do you fit into this puzzle?
Roll for it. Roll for it's how I inserted myself into the live, right? And now Cassidy. It's a crazy story. I had come up with Roll For It as a way to play games with my family, and the local game store that opened in my hometown, the owners knew Ray from back in the days of Arcane Legions, and they said, they played the game, they said, you got to meet this guy, Ray, you got to show him this game because it fits in with his line, and I had never played Tsuro or heard of Calliope, so I contacted Ray, and things worked out where I could go to Gen Con, and I met Ray face-to-face 2 years ago at Gen Con, and I showed him Roll For It, and when I found out about that whole meeting is when I started looking into Calliope and the games that were part of the line, and I scratched my head and I said, this game really does fit in well with this. I hope it works out, and I'm really happy that it did, that Ray took the time to look at it, and he saw that it was a game that would fit in as a companion piece to a lot of the other games that were there. And it worked. That's kind of how I met up with the whole thing. And then as we developed Roll For It, Ray and I got to know each other, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Excellent. So
we also have to give a plug here to that FLGS store, which is the Wandering Dragon, right?
Yeah. Plainfield, Illinois.
I would love to have a really awesome FLGS nearby me, and we have a really great one like an hour away. But man, I wish I had an excellent game store right down and actually enjoy the games and talk to folks like me and like you about the things that we really love. And instead, I have to force my wife and kids into the hobby and make my own discussion group here. So hold on to that roll for a thought, because we're going to come back to that. But Cassie, I want to know how you got involved as well. What brought you to the table here?
Also, my friendly local game store. My fiance actually runs the Redmond Uncle's Games, and he was having lunch with Ray one day, and apparently Ray said something about drowning in work and needing someone to help. And I got really excited, so I sent Ray an extremely obnoxious email, and then we had an interview about a week and a half later, in which I laid out all my plans, and he was like, "Oh, okay." So now I'm here.
Excellent. And I want to get back to you, Cassidy, too, and talk a little bit about purple hair, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. So, Ray, this question is for you before we bounce back over to Chris, and then everybody will talk about it. But you do have an excellent beard, I've noticed. So, being an industry insider, how much of this whole industry is who you know?
Oh, well, when we started, right, I didn't know anybody. But, you know, I've been lucky enough to be in the industry now for almost 14 years. And obviously, the longer you're in it and the relationships that you build always help. And, you know, it's like any other industry, though. It's, you know, it's a lot of work. And even when you know the people that you do know, it's just a tremendous amount of effort to make it fly. That said, it's well worth it, and the people in this industry are just fabulous. And although, you know, it's a small group of folks, and it's very tight knit, if you will. There's very few people that are within the industry that don't get along, you know. So everybody's out there really trying to help each other out and spread the good word of board games. And the reality is that none of us can do it on our own. And we need each other to be successful. In order for the retailer to be successful, he has to be able to sell games, and a lot of them are collectible or games that have a storyline that come in and bring in dollars on a monthly basis because of the way the product actually works. Right? Board games are a little bit different, right? We get people into a brand or an expectation for a specific line of products or style of products, and they will continue to sell that way. But without the successes of the other brands, that retailer is going to go away, and then I lose my outlet, right? So I want to see these other publishers be successful. I think it's really important. And you know, this pie is big enough for everybody. And so, you know, every opportunity that I get, if I see games that I like from other publishers that fit in our wheelhouse, we will absolutely brag about them. Now, luckily, Cassidy and like I said earlier, I'm not a gamer, right? But Cassidy and Chris both are, and they are very good at telling other people about good games that are outside of the scope of games that I would actually play, which is awesome, right? Because we get a full insight to everything that's going on in the marketplace.
Yeah, I've heard the game industry described as the biggest little industry out there, and it seems to me that there are a lot of games coming out now, and there are a lot of good games coming out now, and there's really, maybe I'm wrong, but there's really sort of enough to go around for everybody to like you said, you know, share a piece of the pie and be successful in designing and in publishing some really excellent games, especially these last couple of years.
Right, and you know, it's something that if we, you know, the more people that play games within the community and show other people outside of the community, that just means our pie is going to grow. And having a diverse variety of good games to do that with, I think is just good for everybody. So
Excellent.
I want to see every publisher do extremely well. I mean, it's awesome. That would be a dream come true.
Absolutely, and I share that with you as well, because as a somebody who loves the hobby and as a game collector, there just are never enough games out there to have. Not that I have enough time to ever play any of them all or enough money to have them all, but I want the opportunity and the chance to, hit the lottery and suddenly walk away with 10,000 new games to try. I want to pop over to you, Chris, and I want to talk about Roll For It. You talked real briefly about how you sort of got into the Calliope Press gang there, but I want to talk about the actual game itself. Can you tell us a little bit about Roll For It, how it works, and what folks should expect if they're going to go pick this up and try it?
Sure. Roll For It is very, very simple. There are 3 cards laid up on the table that show various faces of dice, 1s, 3s, 5s, different combinations. You roll your dice. Every player gets 6 dice of a certain color. They roll, and they try to match the results with the cards that are on the table. If they can fully match up the card with the dice that were rolled, they get to take it and score the points that are shown on the bottom of the card. You're trying to get to 40 points, so the first person to 40 or more points wins. If you can't complete the card with your roll, you can begin to assign your dice to the cards. And you can spread them across multiple cards if you want, or you can stick to just one. But you'll leave them there until it comes back around to you on your next turn, because you only get 1 roll per turn. But the other players, before it gets back to you, are going to be rolling the dice, or cats, sorry, are going to be rolling. Sorry, are going to be rolling their dice, and they're going to steal the cards out from under you. So I might have a card that's got 3 2s on it. I put 2 of the 2s on there. I'm hoping that nobody else at the table rolls those 3 2s and swipes that card out from under me before I'm able to score those points. So we boil it down to the 3 steps of the game are roll for it, match it, and score it. And that's pretty much it. It's very, very simple. It's in a compact package that you can put in your pocket and take with you wherever you go, whether it's a restaurant, camping, whatever. And you can bust it out and play it in 15, 20 minutes. And then you can always just shuffle it up and play again if you want. And the original one had 2 versions. There was a red box and a purple box.
Yeah.
The red box had translucent dice, and the purple box had pearl dice. So
I want to correct that. It's still available. It's not had. It has.
So
it has translucent.
we'll call it the classic version. The classic version has 2 color sets. Whichever one you like, you can pick and play 2 to 4 players. But if you got a big family or a big gaming group, and you're in between some big campaign of a game or need to take a break, you can combine those 2, the red and the purple, and you can play with up to 8 players.
Excellent.
So, we wanted one that was small enough where you could take it if you got a small gaming group, and we wanted to make sure that we were there for those groups that have 8 players. That there's just never enough good games for 7 or 8 players at a table. So. That's the way Roll For It works.
Right. Excellent. Now, a good chunk of the folks who listen to the podcast are what we might describe as alpha gamers. They're the ones that not only want to get the newest thing the day it comes out, or before, if at all possible, but they're also interested in game design and the industry and insider's view, which is one of the reasons why I did this podcast, because that's also me as well. So when you first had the idea for this game, if we could talk just real briefly about the design process, did it sort of, let's go back to the mythology aspect here, did it sort of spring out of your brain fully formed and appear on the table, and the next day you were playing it, or what happened? How long did it take you to really develop this thing into a point where you're comfortable in showing it to other folks?
Well, I'll start by saying that my designs before Roll For It were all strategic games.
Yeah.
That my friends and my gaming group loved. They played it. They're like, this is great. It's meaty. It's fun. My wife and my family would tolerate it at best.
Yeah.
They would play it and be like, oh, that's interesting what you did there, but there was no life in their eyes when they played it. Like jumping up and down saying, let's get this to the table again. So I made a conscious decision at some point. I have to make a casual game. I have to make a game that my wife will want to play. Something that I can bring to the table at a family gathering and get people to ask about.
Sure.
So it kind of percolated for a while, and I knew I had to have dice in there because of my pedigree with Risk and Yahtzee was dice rolling. So I'd been working on that for a while, but in the end, the idea sort of just popped in there. One day, as I'm shaving and getting ready for work, I'm like, wait, roll dice and matching cards. And my go-to, I'm not very technical. My go-to is Excel. I created an Excel file that had all of these different cards with point values, printed them up, sleeved them, got 4 sets of dice. I'm at a table by myself because I'm miserable and lonely. I lay out the cards. One of the cards on the table is a 15-pointer, which is the big card in the game, straight 1 through 6.
Yeah.
I take a set of dice. I'm like, here we go. I roll them, and it's a 1 through 6. And I said, this game might be a little too easy. But that was it. I played it. I played around with the values of the dice. How the different numbers appeared on the different values and things like that. I got the feel down because there's 2-point cards and 5 points, 10 points, and 15 points. So I made sure the balance was okay there, and then the numbers appeared equally on different types of cards and things. So it was actually, I think, in the end, it was the easiest design that I'd ever come up with. I mean, to play it, go, why didn't I think of that? And that's kind of what I thought of. As soon as I came up with it, I thought this game has to exist. There's no way it doesn't. So I went looking at Game Geek, and I went looking all over. I was asking my gaming group, asking at the game store, what is this game? And everyone said, I like it, but I don't think it exists. So I moved forward with it, and it was the other games that I've done have been very, you play test and you change things, and it's never the same game that you envisioned when it first popped in there. This was the closest to the original game I envisioned. It was just changing some values and things like that, because it's so simple, but it's got to go to it.
Yeah, those are the real light bulb moments that I really enjoy too. When you come up with something and you think to yourself, somebody has to have done this before. It's way too simple, and you look around and nobody's done it before. And wow, hey, that's cool. So, quick show of hands here. How many of us went to Gen Con this year?
Oh.
Not me, unfortunately. So let's pop over to Cassidy real quick. How was Gen Con?
It was exhausting and a lot of fun. It was actually my first Gen Con.
Oh yeah.
My parents go there every year, so I've always wanted to go. But we had I don't even know. It all blurs together now into one big day. But it was a lot of fun. We made a lot of announcements. We had Calliope herself there, which was a lot of fun on Sunday. Other than that, it was a lot of running around. I missed my bunny.
Now, your bunny, and I apologize, I just dropped out of a call there for a second, but I'm back. Your bunny has actually joined us for this podcast as well. I just want to point that out for folks who aren't watching.
He's being very uncooperative.
So, can you tell me just real quick, what was going on with the purple hair at Gen Con?
What did I do at Gen Con? Why did I do purple hair, Ray?
I don't know, but there was a poll there.
Ashley and Nikki, and then there was a challenge that was on Facebook that started the whole thing, right? But I think it was Ashley and Nikki getting their hair done, and I was like, okay, cool, we could do a hair challenge on Facebook, and away we went.
Yeah, I tried to get Ray to do his growth beard purple, but he said no. So I'm really hoping that you're going to join me on the purple hair bandwagon, Ben, because Ray would not. But Ray's daughters, Ashley and Nikki, have excellent hair.
I may end up actually, for this extra life thing I'm doing, dyeing the beard purple, depending on how my internet poll turns out. I'm probably going to have to shave it anyways, because purple beards on the Tuesday when I go back to work might not fly all that well. But depending on how much money I raise and what the people in this great democratic nation that I've founded called Do I Shave My Beard or Dye Purple, they'll have to decide what I'm going to do with my beard if I reach my $2,500 goal. So everybody out there who is listening, go make me dye my beard all kinds of weird colors or shave it off. I dare you. So I've been talking to Cassidy for a little while, and she's been feeding me some news tips. And one of the things that she posted on the site and that I was kind of interested in, which also goes back to this whole Greek mythology thing, I really sense a theme going on here, are Titans. Ray, can you tell us a little bit about why Titans are important right now?
It's top secret. We're not telling anybody anything.
Ah, man.
No, so the Titan series is getting back to uh, that original concept of what I was telling you, where we were trying to um, reach outside of the current game
Mhm.
industry to activate evangelists and alpha gamers to really recruit um, new people into the industry.
Yeah.
Okay, and so um, with that in mind, I started thinking about what would really um, do that well. And um, with gamers, with alpha gamers, they want to have stuff that's new. They want to be the first to get it, and they want to be able to um, uh, play games by their favorite designers and talk about their favorite designers and why they're their favorite designers. And
I have no idea what you're talking about there. That's never happened to me.
so with the Titan series, what I decided to do was to put together um, a group of gamers that I think are elite,
Hmm.
that are not gamers, but well, they are. They're
They
all
are
gamers.
gamers.
Yes, and designers that are elite in their field, um, and I approached them and I asked them to do a filler game, a gateway game, one that would specifically fit into the Calliope line. And a lot of these designers had things in the works that just weren't fleshed out,
Hmm.
and mainly they didn't flesh them out because they didn't have publishers that would be interested in publishing them.
Sure.
Okay, and so um, with Kickstarter being the great tool that it is, and I use that word um, deliberately because
Hmm.
for Calliope, it's a marketing tool. It really is. And it's the best marketing tool that's out there. And when you match that with Cassidy, it's a home run. You just can't go wrong. So, but uh, the idea being that Kickstarter is a group of alpha gamers or evangelists, either way you look at it.
Hmm.
The group, the community itself is one that is looking to support efforts on products and projects that probably would have never have been funded if it weren't for their support. And 25% of the Kickstarter community is the gamer community, the
Yeah.
gamers, right? Well, that other 75% are people that are interested in books,
Hmm.
interested in theater and photography. And it's those people that if we can get them interested in what we're doing, we can make an explosion within the gaming industry because
Sure.
they're not in going into the game store in the first place, but yet they're very interested in bringing a product to market. They're very interested in saying, "Hey, this product is on the shelf because I help support that." Right?
Yeah.
So that is an evangelist that we haven't had access to before. Now, the alpha gamer, we've had access to them for a long time um, through the FLGS system, right? Through the stores. And
Mhm.
um, uh, when I was at WizKids, we literally spent millions and millions of dollars in the Envoy program, um, recruiting people and encouraging people to go out and show the games,
Right.
right? Um, well, with Kickstarter, those people are already in one spot,
Yeah.
right? And we can access them and get them excited about a product. And if we do that, then they can go out and spread the word for the retailer, right? If we do it
Hmm.
well. Um, and so if we can access both of those groups of people, if we can get to the alpha gamer and we can get to that evangelist of the arts and get them both telling the story behind these games, we all win, right? In a major, major way. But because of the alpha gamers true interest in playing a game that is more challenging and is a 2 hour, hour and a half, 3 hour experience, right? Calliope falls way short of that expectation, right? And so when they look at us as a filler game company, well, now it's a different deal, right? Because as a filler game, we hit that right on the mark, right? And as a gateway game, if they're interested in introducing one of their friends that is not a gamer to the hobby, we can do that really well also. But now, if we can take the titans, right? If we can take the game designers that are their absolute favorites, right? And build a game that's that gateway game and there's that filler game that they want to play when they're voted off the island, right? Then we have another win-win situation because they're going to go and say, hey, dear friend, look at this game. I know you don't play games, but look at this game. It's right up your alley. It's not hard. It's easy to learn. And you know what? It's by my favorite designer. And you're going to love it, right? And so he's excited about the game and the designer at the same time. And when he shows that type of enthusiasm to his friend, now all of a sudden the friend isn't saying, well, I'm not playing games anymore. When you get a true friend that's that excited about something, you're going to sit down and enjoy the experience together, right? And so overall, this particular project truly has the opportunity to grow the industry overall. And that's where I'm really, really excited. It's a phenomenal.
Okay, you sold me. So where can I buy these? When are they going to be out? Tell me more.
Okay, so what's going to happen is if everything goes right, we will push the button sometime in January to launch the Kickstarter. Okay, and the Kickstarter, just so we don't leave anybody out, and because Cassidy is so kind, and she left this note on my desk so that I would not forget anybody, right? It's going to consist of Rob Davio, who did Risk Legacy.
Yeah.
Mike Elliott, who has done a number of WizKids games, including Quarriors. James Ernest has killed Dr. Lucky.
Yeah.
Matt Forbeck did a lot of stuff in the Warhammer. But more importantly, he's just a great RPG guy, right? I mean, just excellent. Richard Garfield, who has done Magic and has recently King of Tokyo, right?
I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
I don't know what Magic is.
No. Seth Johnson, who I met Seth originally at WizKids, who was doing all the combat dials for us for HeroClix, and to this day does a bunch of HeroClix stuff. But for Calliope, he designed Double Dominoes.
Yeah.
And I got with my brother-in-law Jordan, and I have to say that is probably one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm just so happy to have him as part of the project. Eric Lang, right? What a talent there. I mean, half the titles over at Fantasy Flight he's got his name on, and he's just exceptional. Mike Mulvihill, way back to the Facet days, but most recently Shadowrun, right? He's just been all over the Shadowrun, and Gollum Arcana, he's been heavily involved in that project too. Paul Peterson and I have recently become friends through the introductions of James Ernest and actually Mike Sellinker.
Yeah.
And the three of them have been close friends for a long time. But Paul just had done Guillotine, which was a product that was released at Wizards of the Coast, and has always been a game that I've enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
But he recently came out with a hit from AEG called Smash Up, right? And he continues to grow and do great things.
Yeah, I might have heard of that one too.
Mike Sellinker, I'm going to give Mike another plug here. So, Mike's got a huge history in puzzling, right? But he just came out with this product here.
The
It's a major
Maze of
game,
Games.
and it is if you are a person who likes puzzles
Hmm.
and enjoys gaming and role playing, that's a phenomenal book. And for him, it's been truly a lifetime goal. It's something that he's been working on for well over 10 years, and it's a concept that he put in his brain. And just it was one of those things where he just never had the opportunity
Sure.
to get the volition, and with Kickstarter he was able to do that, right? But Mike's got lots of experience not only in gaming but outside of the gaming world, with people like Disney and
Hmm.
stuff like that in the parks, and doing uh, projects that are puzzle projects, but are marketing
Right.
items. So just a huge talent. Jordan Weissman, my brother-in-law,
Hmm.
who started FASA, WizKids. He was and still is my partner um, at Calliope and Compound Fun. Um, I mean, his repertoire is just so deep, and everything from BattleTech to MechWarrior to Shadowrun
Oh yeah. Yeah.
to Pirates of the Spanish Main, right? HeroClix, Mage Knight, um, Crimson Skies, right? All that stuff, and they're all good games. And my nephew Zach Weissman, um, he's he's going to be join us. He did Gotham for us, right? But he's
Hmm.
going to be teaming up with his dad to produce a game for us, and that's going to be really exciting.
Excellent.
Um, so that's the full list. Now we do have some other people, since we've put this together, that have expressed interest in participating, and so I can't let all the games
Sure.
out right now. But the stretch goals may include games by other designers that people will know. So
Excellent. So what I'm hearing is you put together a bunch of newcomers to the industry with really no experience in game design. Now, it sounds like an amazing project. Are these games all going to be included together in one massive Kickstarter? Is that how you're going to run it?
exactly, it's going to be
Wow.
one Kickstarter, right? The Kickstarter will be well, it'll probably last 45 to 60 days, whatever
Hmm.
the maximum
Hmm.
amount of time that I can do with Kickstarter. And the reason for that is once the word gets started, we want it to have the opportunity to mature, right?
Sure.
So a lot of, obviously, as hard as Cassidy is, and Chris and I are going to try it to get that word out there, there's going to be people who haven't heard it,
Yeah.
right? Haven't heard about it. And so if we have a blogger that wants to write about it, if we have a 30-day deal, a lot of times they don't have enough time to fit it into the
Sure.
schedule, right, to make it happen. So we want to be able to get the full marketing um, potential um, based off of the current social marketing group
Hmm.
of social media out there, um, and give everybody the opportunity to tell the story. So we'll probably
Absolutely.
make it as long as we possibly can.
Excellent.
But the games themselves will be released over a period of 3 years,
Yeah.
right? So we'll do three a year, and if everything goes right, every June you'll get three games in your mailbox, right? That that'll be it's like it's Christmas in summer, right? It's awesome. How can you go wrong?
Absolutely.
And,
And as
um,
all of us know, everything in the gaming industry, particularly in the manufacturing side, is always perfect.
oh yeah, exactly. But we will do everything that we possibly can
Yes.
to hit those dates, right? Um, but the other thing that is going to happen is that the more games you'll be able to buy just one game
Hmm.
if that's from a specific designer, if that's what you would like to do. But the more games that you purchase, the more you can be rewarded through the Kickstarter.
Sure.
And so I do believe that when it's all done and over, all done and said, right, that uh, uh, people will look at it and they'll be all in. They'll go for all 9 games. I originally I was telling the concept to a friend of mine, John Kovalik, who is a big gamer, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, it's kind of hard, waiting 3 years to get all these games. That's a tall order. And I said, well, John, if you buy all 9 of them, you'll be in at this price. And he goes, you're just a jerk. He said, what? Do I write you a check now?
Excellent.
But yeah, so it's we're really looking forward to it. And,
Excellent.
Speaking of John, the other thing that we'll do is we're going to start looking for artists that people have a fondness for also, right? And so we're going out and searching those now. So hopefully before the Kickstarter actually launches, we'll start talking about some of the artists as well as the designers that will be with the project.
Well, it sounds like a massive project, and you've already sold me. Like I said, you sold me in the first, 3 or 4 designers that you just started mentioning there. So I'll probably be all in, but that's just a guess on my part. But I know a lot of other people too who are going to be very interested when this thing hits. So we're starting to bump up against my time limit here.
Yeah.
Before we do get to the end of the show, though, and my super secret special question that I ask all of my guests, I want to start with you, Chris. And can you just tell folks, where can we find you online? What's your online home? If folks wanted to see what you're up to, or possibly get in touch with you, or just see what's going on.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter. Leder88, Leder88 is my Twitter name. I'm on Facebook, but that's mostly just pictures of my toddler and my baby. So I don't know if anyone in the game world's going to be too interested in that, although they are darn cute. And then, I pop up from time to time in the Calliope blog that Cassidy writes most of the time because I slip her money to do so. But yeah, probably Twitter is the best place to go looking for me, Leder88.
Excellent. And Cassidy, I have a feeling that you have the answer to these questions just as well as Ray. Well, where can we find you guys online? Where can we find Calliope?
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and Tumblr, as well as our blog and website.
And sometime maybe in January on Kickstarter as well, too.
Yes, definitely sometime in January on Kickstarter.
And Ray, anything to add to that? Any other special online haunts that you tend to hang out in, or?
My daughter here is pointing to that wonderful Wonder Woman behind you. She's like, I can be reached if anybody ever wants to reach out to me. They are more than welcome to drop me a line at ray@calliopegames.com.
Excellent.
And I will. I'm happy to answer any questions and address whatever comments or things that they'd like us to address. So
excellent.
I'm trying to make myself available all the time.
If there's anyone out there who's listening who has their friendly local game store and they hear about Suro, Roll4, these other games, and they don't have them at that game store, one of the things I love to do is work with retailers, get Calliope games on the shelf. So anyone can reach me at chris@calliopegames.com. Retailers, or if it's someone who has a local store that doesn't carry it, they just want to, drop me a line and say, hey, such and such a store should really carry this stuff. You should reach out to them. You can always drop me a line because I like to know those stores that have a great need for Calliope games,
right,
killer games, but maybe they're not on the shelf because they just aren't aware. So chris@calliopegames.com, that's where I can be reached, and then I'll reach out to that store and see what I can do.
And I'll be honest with all three of you guys. Like, I don't have a super local store, but I make it a habit to go into game stores if I happen to be near them, and I try and sort of plan my traveling to be near them. I don't think I've yet gone into a game store that doesn't have your games. So yeah, just an observation from the northeast coast here. But I've been in at least 7 or 8 game stores in and around the New England area, and every single one of them has carried a number of your titles. So So that's a good sign.
And we appreciate their support, because
Absolutely.
without those retailers bringing the games in and actually showing them, there's no way that we could do what we love to do, right?
Sure.
So they are an integral part of this business, and anything that we can do to support them and support our players is what we want to do. And you know, the customer service side of things, whether it's for a retailer or whether it's for the consumer, for Calliope, that's key. And so if we start to fall down there, please, we want to know about it. And but we will do everything that we possibly can to take care of our customers, because they take good care of us.
Excellent. So I've had 3 of you on this podcast tonight, and 4 people have managed to mention the Wonder Woman. Normally, like Fight Club, the rule is you don't talk about Wonder Woman. But I guess I will go for the studio audience, let's say, and the folks at home. I find that I have to go into detail now. There is a 12-inch stuffed Wonder Woman hanging precariously on the door behind me. And the reason why she is there is because she used to have a nice, comfy home on the floor where she'd sit and look all Wonder Woman-y. But my cats would sleep on her. And my cats are all black. So she'd end up looking like some sort of gorilla Wonder Woman hybrid. And then we'd have to take the little thing and brush her off and put her back down there. We got sick of it about a year ago, hung her up on the door, and there she has stayed ever since. So that is why Wonder Woman is hanging up behind me. Okay.
But I think she flies very well back there.
Yes, she does. So I'm going to start with you, Ray, with my super secret question. And it's not a hard one, but I ask everybody that comes on here. For me, gaming is a social thing. Sure, you can do it online. There are various tools to do it that way. I prefer to do it in person with other people that I like to hang out with, because part of playing games is talking and chatting and you know, quoting movies and discussing strategies and what have you. But it's really not a social occasion in my book unless there's food or beverage involved. So my question for all of you, and we'll go Ray, and then we'll go to Cassidy, and then we'll go to Chris, is when you are sitting down at some sort of gaming event, it's a social thing, you're chatting with people, what's your favorite snack to have there?
Beer.
I'm 100% behind that statement, possibly 200% depending on how many of those I have had, and I am a beer lover myself. So any particular brands that you really enjoy?
People who know me well know that I am not a beer connoisseur.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am a beer sewer. And as long as it doesn't have the word light on the label, I'm in, right?
Excellent.
But that being said, I live in Seattle, Washington, and there is a microbrew out here called Mac and Jack's Brewery, and they do what they call an African amber, and that, my friend, is probably one of the best beers you'll ever have.
Sounds amazing. Excellent. Is it available anywhere else outside of Seattle, do you know?
It is not. You have to come to Seattle to get it.
Well, I guess I'll have to schedule that trip out there then.
And when you come out, let us know. We'll take you around to not only the nicest game stores, right? But we'll take you out for some really excellent food.
That sounds like a plan. So Cassidy, when you're gaming with other folks, what's your favorite snack?
I like dwarvy food. I like big hunks of meat and bread and cheese. And lambic, I guess, is my favorite alcoholic beverage. And if my rabbits are being bad, then also rabbit.
Hey, Chris, how about you?
Man, I'm easy. All I need is some Coke and some Fritos, and I'm happy, because most of the time I'll get into it and then I'm like snack, you know, between turns. But I don't know, just easy stuff like that. Some chips, some pop, I'm good. I don't drink. Poor Ray invites me out to wonderful conventions. He's brought me right there so I can help him at the booth, and I think I might have given him a slight heart attack the first time he brought me out to New York. He's looking for Innocent Gun, which is one of the hardest beers to find in the country, and I have no idea what he's talking about. I think at that point he almost just left me in New York and to find people who could drink with. Because it's soda and some chips. That's my gaming food.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to leave you three with a deep gaming food snack thought, which is somebody way back, probably in episode 2 or 3 of this thing, 2 years ago, came up with what may actually be one of the perfect gaming foods, but you have to like the flavor. And those are the licorice sticks that you get. They come in cherry or black or what have you. And the reason is that they're not sticky, so they won't stick to your game components. You can get them individually wrapped, but really they come in a big bag, so you're not listening to crumpling as people are unwrapping them. You can hit other people over the heads with them if they do something stupid in the game. And should you have to, say, evacuate the house and hide in the swamp, you can actually use them as breathing implements while you're underwater. So I'll leave you with that. I won't comment on that. I'm still a little bit on the fence here. I tend to gravitate towards just plain old beer and maybe some sort of chips as well. But Twizzlers may be the perfect gaming food. I want to thank you all for coming on Indie Talks for episode 53 and sharing this time with me and getting me really super excited about all these games coming out from you guys. And I hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Appreciate the invitation.